To polish or replace. Today we're going to be talking about the E90, 91, E92, or E93 headlight housings. Do we polish them and bring them back to their original shine, or do we just replace the lenses and have a brand new lens? What are the risks? What are the trade-offs? What are the costs? We need to remove the front bumper regarding no matter what we do. So as you can see, I've removed the bumper, and let's get right on into replacing the housings. Guys, I would like to remind you about all the other videos in this N54 maintenance series. Up there, you can take a look down in the description of the entire playlist of 25 to 30 videos dedicated to maintaining your N54, E90, E92, E91, whatever. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching, and enjoy. First, remove 1, 2, 3, 4 T30 Torx bolts. They remove up, and that's all you need to do inside and underneath the hood. Then, when you go underneath into the wheel well, you'll need to remove 8mm there, 8mm there, 8mm up here, and 8mm there, and that exposes these T30s. There's one right there, and there's one right on the side there, and 2 T30s here and here. All right, with the front bumper removed, again, very easy actually. 1, 2 bolts up there, just 8mm. You have one here, and then you have the ones down below that connect the bumper cover to the undercover shroud. And of course you have your 1, 2, 3, 4 that I explained earlier, and the whole thing just kind of slides right out. It's actually pretty easy. So now we've got the headlight assemblies out and on a bench, and we need to remove the housings from the assembly. Now, it's not going to be just as easy as pry and it'll just pop out because there's silicone inside of here to prevent things like condensation. So what we need to do is start with the prying and make sure we don't damage any of this black cover, and just see how things go. As you can see here, looks like the housing is somewhat, crimped in between the black housing outside layer. It's kind of like wedged in there. And you can see right here that there is like silicone in there. So yeah, we're gonna have to probably use either heat or whatever in order to get it out. But I wanna play with it a little bit. Let's take a look underneath. Yeah, so underneath is gonna be pretty similar. You can see the wedged interface in between the two. So yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of finessing in order to get this thing out. But for now, I do care about breaking the housing, so I have to be really careful about that. All right, now here's where things kind of get a little bit more dicey. And there's really not a lot of information on YouTube about this, so I'm gonna try to describe it as best as I can. I've just kind of started prying away at this. Just kind of seeing what kind of give the housing would have. And what I found was that it's actually really in there, right? And that makes sense because it's OEM. But what we need to do is use a heat gun in order to soften all that. And then I think if we continue to pry enough, I think that this will end up starting to come a little bit looser. As we get, loose enough, and I think it'll end up coming and just kind of pulling out. So I'll do a time lapse of this, but I really don't want to have to cut any of this black stuff in order to get to it, but I'm really hoping that that's, I'm hoping I don't have to do it that way. But if at this point, it's just going to take time. All right, so after about half hour of trying to fool around with getting this out, I made very little progress. I was using a pick here, this pick, to get inside the lip and pull it out. And yeah, I am doing a little bit of destruction of the black plastic. It's not that bad, but the back side was a little bit worse. But I was actually able to move the headlight and separate the headlight at the bottom. And I'm not really too surprised about my ability to do that because this is just a straight shot. Where it gets really hard and what I'm really worried about are these curves. This curve here, there is so much friction between this surface and this surface when it's clamped down, and there's glue on both sides. I don't know how I'm going to get that removed without doing some major damage. So I'm actually second guessing actually doing these and maybe just going through a polishing route. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know what to do. I gotta be honest with you, I just don't think that the headlight lens removal is really the way to go. It's just too risky. You know, you can possibly destroy the headlight housing. And when you get it out, when you put the new one in, is it going to seat properly? Is it going to seal properly? You're gonna have condensation issues. It just seems to be really risky. So now that we've kind of assessed whether or not we should replace the housings, which I don't think we should do, I think that it's a good idea to see and explore the polishing route. What if we just polish the existing headlights, right? What's the risk of doing that? What's the cost of doing that? How difficult is it? What kind of tools do you need? Let's take a look at the headlight housing polishing avenue and see if that's really worth it. So let's go through the polishing route, shall we? Here we have an existing E90 headlight housing here, right? This is the one that I was actually attempting to remove and decided to just not do that because I just felt it was just too risky to the headlight housing itself. So I stopped at a very safe point, reinstalled the housing, and I decided to try polishing. Now let's take a look and see what this thing looks like. You can see there's tons of pitting. There's a lot of aging here. You can see that there's hazing and headlight fading going on there. Can we bring this back to its original shine as is? Now, the reason that I removed the bumper is because number one, it was easy, and number two, it really prevents me from having to tape off all this area and actually allows me to polish and sand down below and up above. The only risk here is this guy, which we're gonna end up taping anyway, but it's just a little sliver of paint. We can easily cover that. So let's start going through and talk about the sandpaper that's being used. So when you want to sand and polish a headlight, you've got to start off with the sanding. I've found that the best way to start is with 1,000 grit. So I go to 1,000 grit, then I go 1,500, then 2,000, then 3,000, and then we do our three-stage polish. The sandpaper is in a soapy, like a Dawn soapy water, and I have it all soaked up, and you can see that it actually is pretty saturated when it starts to curl around, and a lot of my sandpaper is kind of curled around like that. That's how you know it's ready to go. So I have 1,000 grit here, and what we can do is we can start sanding. Now, the 1,000 grit is the most important, and you gotta sand that probably for a good 10-15 minutes just in the 1,000. So you sand it down, get the slurry mixture that I'll show you in a second, and then you wipe it off, start over, and continue to sand with your hand or a pad, whatever you'd like. But that 1,000 grit is so important because that forms the base of what the rest of the quality of your polishing will be later on. Is based on getting all those imperfections out at that base 1,000 grit level. After we get to the 3,000 grit and get it to a really nice haze, uniform haze rather, we go with a three-stage polish. Now I'm actually using the Perfect It kit. This is a three-stage versus compound. Second is a polish, and then the third is the real fine polish. That's the ultra polish, and that's what really gets it to shine. You're going to notice a marketable difference rather when you go and do this, when you do your first polishing compound. And that's really going to bring out that shine and that headlight, but it's going to feel like a baby's bottom when you're done with the light blue stuff. So we'll show you how to do that, but let's first just get in and start sanding this thing down and just kind of identifying, you know, how bad is this going to be. So you can see that it is a very nice uniform haze. I did 4 coats or 4 iterations of 1,000 grit, and everything here looks really nice, but until you get over here, that's when you start noticing the difference. And this needs to be sanded out. If you don't sand this out, it will show through in the polish. So you need to continue to sand, particularly in this area, in order to make this just as hazy as the rest of that. Okay, I think I've got it, but I want to dry it off real quick. You can see, after I blow on it a little bit, the haze is forming. And you can see it's cleared up really nice. There's a spot right down there in the corner that I still need to focus on. But other than that, the rest of the headlight looks very uniform. And now I can start moving on to 1500. Like I said, I'll take care of that and then move on to 1500. So now we've got a completely sanded down headlight housing. It looks pretty darn close to being near perfect. There's a couple of cracks inside of here, probably from like sun spotting or, you know, sun hazing or what have you. But yeah, this is in a really good spot. You can see the hazing is very, very uniform, even in this corner here that I had highlighted earlier. So now it's just a matter of starting to put the polish down. You want to start off with the white compound, and then we'll go to the black, fine, and then we'll go to the light blue, ultra fine polish. But you're going to see a noticeable difference after the first compound phase, and then it's just going to get better from there. So there you have it. That's the first coat. That's the compound. And there are still minute scratches in there, and you know, you're never gonna get every single thing out. It's gonna come out to be near perfect though. It really is. I'm gonna end up doing another couple of polishes on this to make it even smoother, but it feels amazing. And you can see here why I was so particular about this area here, because you definitely notice a difference. When everything is completely clean and polished, any tiny little issue will come out and look like a sore thumb. So this is looking really good. Let's hit up with the second two coats and see how it improves from there. Well, if I was torn between polishing or replacing the lens, I will say any day polishing wins. It's cheaper, it's quicker, it's less risky, and you don't have to deal with possible risks of condensation or anything like that. And this looks immaculate. It looks almost perfect, almost perfect. Now, just to save you the time, I did the other one as well, which also looks just as better. In fact, this one actually looks a little bit better because it didn't have nearly as much hazing as that one did. This one was in really bad shape. So let's put the bumper back on, let's clean up the whole front end, and let's just see how it looks. So that's it, guys. Headlights are polished and installed. Bumpers installed and aligned. All the nuts, everything has been put back exactly where it should go, which is a problem because most of the time when you remove these types of things, you break the clips and stuff and then nothing ends up ever fitting. But in this case, we ended up succeeding there. Headlights look near brand new, and that brings us to the end of the video. What would I do if I were to change anything during this process? Nothing. I think that polishing the headlight lenses over replacing the lenses any day is a no-brainer, unless you have specific cracks or it's damaged to some degree. I think that getting those headlight lenses out of the little crevice that's in there that's glued in from 10 to 15 years of glue, you're gonna destroy something and it's gonna be way more expensive at the end. So polishing them saves time, saves money, and you get a lot more value out of your work because you did that work, right? So thanks a lot, guys, for watching. My name is Frank Macaluso from Garageaholic. Please take a look at all the other videos in the N54 maintenance series up above and down in the description. There's a whole playlist, 25 to 30 videos, guys, on how to do all that stuff, all this type of stuff on your E90 N54. So thanks a lot, and I am out of here, guys. Take it easy. Later.